Hey there! Today I'm not going to review a fountain pen. Today I'm going to talk about ink. In fact, this is going to be the first of a series in which I discuss a number of different inks. Now, I've been wanting to talk about ink for a while, but I wasn't sure how to do that properly, because there are people who have a lot more inks than I have, but even I have 50 different inks. So that's a lot of them, and I wasn't sure how to cover them in an intelligent manner. And then someone suggested that I could cluster them around a color, and I think that's a brilliant idea. So today we're going to talk about what I think is the most basic fountain pen ink color, blue. So this will be the first part, and today we talk about blue. I think the next one will be about green. I have a couple of greens, then reds, and then I'll just have to see. There is, of course, blacks. I have a couple of black inks, but black is black. At least that's what you might think, but in fact there's quite a bit of difference, so it might be worthwhile to cover that. And then there's the purples, of course. I have a bunch of violet/purples, so we'll see how things progress. I think by far I have the most different types of blue. That is, I have 12 blues, one of which is Blue Ghost, which is actually a specialty ink. I'll cover that, but very briefly. So what I would like to do is just give you a writing sample of every ink. I will write down the name. I will write the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, because that contains all the letters of the alphabet. That should give you an idea, and that's pretty much it. So I'll just very soon I will stop talking. I'll show you how all the different inks look, what they look like. One question I recently got, and that's important to address here. There was a person asked me, is it necessary to use let's say proprietary ink in a specific fountain pen? So is it necessary to use Parker ink in a Parker pen? Is it necessary to use Pelikan ink in a Pelikan pen? The answer is no, not at all. Some inks may be more suited for use in specific pens. For example, I have a highlighter ink here, which came with my Pelikan M205 Duo pen, and that ink is actually made for highlighting texts. And there was a warning that came with the ink that said this ink has a very specific chemical structure, so please do not use it in other fountain pens apart from the one that was supplied with the ink, or the ink that was supplied with the pen, whatever way around. So I've never done that, but maybe that is just a way, you know, Pelikan just wants you to use their ink in their pens, and they don't want you to put their ink in other pens. I'm not absolutely sure, but generally speaking, if you're talking about a normal ink, for example, this is Herbin ink. Herbin ink can be used in any fountain pen. I actually don't think there are Herbin fountain pens, so that's probably not a good example. This is Waterman ink. No, it doesn't come in this cheap bottle. I just put it in there because I like to take this with me for, you know, emergency filling purposes. It's just a small plastic bottle that came with I think this came with a box of sushi, and there was soy sauce in it. I cleaned it out as best as I could, and I put in some ink. Is that going to interfere with the ink? I'm not sure. I hardly ever use it. It's just a backup. In any case, this is Waterman ink, and Waterman also makes pens. So can you only use this ink in a Waterman pen? No, absolutely not. You can put it in any pen you like. So I hope that clears stuff up. Okay, now on to the inks. As I said, I'm going to review 12 blues today. One thing I'm not going to do is give you an extensive overview of the quality of the ink. I leave that to your imagination. I mean, some will like lighter blues, others will like darker blues. I'll just tell you which blues I like and why. And another thing I will not do is tell you whether an ink is particularly dry or very wet. I'm sorry, but that's something you have to find out for yourself. I will occasionally mention something, for example, with the Quink, the Parker ink, that is a bit dry, to say the least. So I will mention it there because that is something I really noticed. But generally speaking, ink flow properties will not just depend on the ink, they will depend on the paper you use, and most importantly, the pen you use. So what is a dry ink in one pen is likely to be a dry ink in another pen, but if the other pen you're using is a gusher of a pen, then clearly it will be wetter than in your other, more regular pen. So really, that is something you will have to experiment with for yourself. Okay, then finally, I see... Okay, here we got it. To do this review, I used this pen. This is a glass pen, which means it's made out of glass, which is why it's called a glass pen. Some things in life really are simple. This is a dip pen, and that means that you just take a bottle of ink, you open it, you put in the pen, and you write. That is not optimal, because it means that when you start writing, there's a lot of ink on there, and the ink will be highly saturated, much more saturated than it will ever be in a fountain pen. However, I have 12 inks to review, and I'm not going to ink up 12 different fountain pens with one ink each. I'm sorry, that's a lot of work, and although I have 12 blues, I don't even use blue that much, so I don't want to either flush the pens out again, or so sorry. This is what we've got. Now, what I will do, I have used all of these blues fairly extensively, especially in the past. So what I will do is I will indicate the amount of saturation you are likely to get in a fountain pen. So I know what the blues look like, and I will say something like, okay, this is the amount of saturation you would usually get in a fountain pen for every ink sample I do. That way, that should give you an idea of what you can expect. Right? Good. And that is pretty much it. So now I'll move on to the right. I love this thing. I can really point at stuff. That's very good. Now I will start writing. I will go through the 12 inks. I'll try to do that. I will start with the light blue, and I'll move up to the dark end of the spectrum. After that, I will upload some stills, some photographs from the writing samples, and at the very end, I will not show you how I do the writing, because I'm sure you have better things to do, but I just write the names of the inks in that ink one after the other, and I've uploaded a still of that too. So you can just take a look at that and compare the different colors one after the other, which is impossible with the other photographs because it just takes more space to do all the writing samples. And that's it. So excuse me for this extremely lengthy introduction, but I thought it was necessary to give you some information on what I'm going to do and what you can expect next. So I think next will be the greens, but for now I've got the blues. See you later. Okay, so here we go with the blues. Now, just to give you an interesting idea, see that? All of that is different types of blue ink standing on my desk. So if there's an earthquake now, forget about the house, but all of the inks will spill. Let's start with what I think is the lightest blue I have in my collection. That is Bleu Azur. I've just written down blue instead of bleu. Please forgive me. I'll do it again. Bleu Azur. Now you probably can't even see that. See what a peculiar color that is? I like it. I think it's beautiful, but it's just difficult to read. So a very, very light blue. I'll dip the pen again. From Herbin. Herbin, I really love their inks, but this one I think is a bit ridiculous. It's nice, it's beautiful, but it's difficult to read. So now I've written a number of words with the glass pen. This is probably the amount of saturation you would get in a fountain pen. So you can see it really is difficult to read. Beautiful as it is, it's just, well, difficult to read. So let's switch to the next ink. I just clean the glass pen with some water, and we move on to Diabolo Mante. Diabolo Mante is named after a French type of soda, like a drink. very nice color. Sorry, Diabolo, this is an L. Diabolo Mont. Nice color. A bit brighter, I think, than the Bleu Azur, and still utterly illegible. Very nice color, I like it, but I never put it in a pen. So let's do some writing. Again, this is Herbin. Sorry about moving the camera around, but I have some trouble getting it to focus on the white paper and the light ink. Fox jumps. Again, at this point, this is about the amount of saturation you would get in a fountain pen. So again, this is a very light color. I will upload some stills so that you can really see all the different ink colors in more detail at the end of the video, so watch out for that. Okay, then we have Noodler's Blue Erase. Now, make no mistake, this is no fountain pen ink. I love the color. This is from Noodler's, but this is not a fountain pen ink. This is meant to be used in a marker, like a preppy marker, and used on a a whiteboard, which is a pity because I love the blue. Sorry, I caught some paper under the tripod of the camera, which I am indeed holding by hand. So, this is made for whiteboards, not for fountain pens. So if I were you, I would not put it in a fountain pen, because that is not what it is made for. Okay, then we go to the next blue. Now, the good thing is, if you liked the Blue Erase, there is an alternative, and that is called Bleu. I again wanted to write blue there. Bleu Pervenche. This is a plant. Well, not that, but this is a plant, and I have no idea what it's called in English. In Dutch it's called virgin palm, if you would translate it, but I don't know whether that's probably something completely different in English. In any case, this is again Herbin. Herbin. My handwriting is getting sloppy, I'm sorry. Now, as you can see, the difference between these two colors is almost non-existent. So if you like this color, and you don't want to use it on a blackboard, there I go again, on a whiteboard, then you can always get Bleu Pervenche, which is one of my favorite colors, actually. If I use a blue, then it is either this one or Éclat de Saphir, to which I'll come back in a minute. The quick brown. Fox. Fox jumps. And just to give you an idea, this is about the fountain pen level of saturation. Now we're running out of ink, but I won't re-dip it just for the final word. So that should give you an idea. Bleu Pervenche, whenever I use my Yarder lead fountain pen, I always use Bleu Pervenche, because I think it's a very nice, vibrant blue color that is still very legible. Then we go to, let me see, this is Waterman Blue. I think they officially call it Florida Blue. I guess, I don't know, the color of the sea or something, whatever. So I'll just call it Florida Blue here. And that is Waterman. This is a very standard ink. I mean, you will be able to pick this up at a lot of stationery stores. There's nothing special about this, nothing exclusive about it, and it's just a nice blue, and that's all there's to it. So this is the color it would have, the level of saturation it would have in a fountain pen. I have to re-dip it. I'm sorry about having to put down the camera, but it's this is technologically challenging to try and record this. I'm sorry. Jumps over, well, the lazy dog. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, we are now moving into the realm of the darker blues. These are more saturated, they are not as light, and the good thing about that is that they are more legible that way. Now I move to Yard Lead ink, which I got along with the Yard Lead pen. So this is Yard Lead blue. Another standard blue, not unlike the Waterman. I think it is just a little bit lighter, not as dark blue, so I probably should have put that before this if we continue the color gamma, but whatever. This is Yard Lead blue, nice blue, nothing fancy. Yeah, so I guess this would be about the level of fountain pen saturation. Jumps over the lazy dog. Okay. Now we come to an even darker blue. I just clean the glass pen again. This is another Herbin color, bleu, Myosotis, Myosotis, that's another plant. This is a nice darker blue, another one I like. So, once again, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. This is the amount of fountain pen saturation, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I used that, but still. Again, I clean the pen, and I move on to an even darker shade of blue, and that is, yeah, let me think, that is my favorite blue from Herbin, following Bleu Pervenche. So this is another Herbin color. This is Éclat de Saphir. The what do you call that? The glow, the radiance of the sapphire. If my French is not abandoning me, of course. Herbin. This is the blue I always put in my Namiki Falcon because it just looks awesome in that. So this is a darker blue. I'm sorry guys, it's pretty difficult to write with one hand and balance the camera with the other. So forgive me if my handwriting is not the best in the world. The lazy dog. Okay. Let me see. This, the word jumps. This here is the standard level of fountain pen saturation, I think, for this ink. Okay. Now we have 4 more to go. So in any case, we'll need a new sheet of paper. But I think we can manage 1 more color down there. Then, especially for my friend Luke, who absolutely hates Parker, here we have the Quink, Parker Quink Blue. Which is a dry ink. Actually, I don't dislike it that much. There are nicer blues, there are definitely wetter blues, but I don't think it's a bad ink. I've never had any serious flow problems or anything. Difficult balancing, man. The Quick Brown Fox jumps. The lazy dog. Okay, so this would be about the level of saturation you'd get in a fountain pen. Okay, I will change the sheet of paper. So I have to put you down. I might as well use the back side of this paper. After all, there isn't much bleed through, so that should work out. Okay, so that was the Parker Quink, darker blue. Now we have a truly dark blue, and that is Bleu Nuit, Night Blue, by Herbin. I like this blue. I have to admit I don't use it that often, but it is one of my default blue options. I love this dark, saturated blue-black color. It has excellent flow. I've never had any problems with this ink. This is about the level of fountain pen saturation. Okay, then we go for almost the last blue. I have just 2 more here. And this is, well, I'd say an infamous blue. This is Noodler's Bay State Blue. And Noodler's Bay State Blue is gorgeous. I think it's one of the finest blues out there. If I can get a proper flow, then I can show you. This ink doesn't want to flow today. Let me see. The ink doesn't agree with my glass pen, which is a pity, because it is a very nice saturated blue. Bay State Blue from Noodler's. I'll write a bit slower, that should bring out the qualities. Now, as you can probably see, this is a very rich blue. It is also a bit of an aggressive ink. It can really stain plastic or resin of your pen. Now, I should point out right now that I have had a problem with that once. I had a Kaweco Sport Clear. There was a demonstrator Kaweco. I accidentally dropped the cap in a glass that contained inky Bay State Blue water, and the cap was completely discolored. Within a couple of minutes it was blue. Is that a problem? Well, not necessarily. because I put it in some water with bleach and was restored to its original clear plastic qualities. So in other words, don't be afraid to use this ink. You can probably reverse the coloring, but I myself, and that's just my personal preference, do not put this in expensive fountain pens. I'm sorry, but that's just my personal caution. I've really got difficulties to get this one to write. Hopefully you'll get a taste of the nice blue, the deep blue qualities of the ink. If you don't do it on the paper, you can always look at my finger, which I just rubbed with this ink. So yes, it is a very nice, dark, saturated blue, which I like a lot. Finally, why do I make stuff dark? Well, because the final ink is Blue Ghost. Can you see that? Blue Ghost. It has blue in the name, so I thought I'd show you. This is an invisible ink. You can only see it on the UV light, and if you switch it off, then well, you can still see it because I scratched in the paper. But usually we use a fountain pen, and the scratching is not as explicit, and then you can actually not see a thing. So there you have it. These are the blues, 12 different types of blue that I have. I will upload some high-resolution pictures of the different ink colors at the end of this video, and I'll probably write a small overview of the different inks just so you can just see them all one after the other, but I don't do the writing right now. I'll just upload a still of that. So that's it. I hope this was useful, and I think green should be next.